What's good, y'all? It's your boy Ballerfall Bird, the one and only Mr. Ballerfall, the one and only Mr. Do It All, the one and only Mr. Everything Under the Sun will get done because your boy is blessed beyond. Listen, man, I got a banger for y'all today, man. And the topic of this video is the one thing, not the only thing, but the one major thing that helped change my life for the better. And I know when y'all hear this story, because I am gonna start off with a story, so I'll make sure that I don't get too long with it, but I do have to make sure that I started off with a story. That way y'all can know where I'm coming from. Y'all can know, how it all kind of affected me, and then honestly how it affected me in the past, not realizing it. Now that I'm literally sitting in this moment right here thinking about it. So, like I said, the one thing that helped change my life for the better. All right, and when I give y'all this story time, I know a lot of y'all may be like, how is that the one thing that changed your life when, that's something you've been doing all your life? And I'm going to tell y'all. All right, so listen. So me personally, being an athlete, being somebody that played football and ran track, especially the position that I played in football, corner, safety, even when I played offense like wide receiver and running back, stuff like that. A big thing for me I never wanted to do was gain weight. But gaining weight came from being in the weight room. Gaining weight came from eating more. All right, so the reason why I never wanted to gain weight was because as a corner, as a safety, as a wide receiver, you feel me? I gotta be fast. Like that's my number one trait. I'm not no overly big guy. Like I said, like that was a big problem for me. So I'm not no overly big guy. I'm just now getting into like the 180, 185 range. And that's at 25 years old. But especially in high school, I'm pushing 160, 165, anywhere in there. So, making sure that I didn't, the whole thing with me not wanting to gain any weight came from me not wanting to lose, my number one attribute was my speed. You see what I'm saying? My speed, my ability to cover ground, my ability to be able to go run somebody, hawk somebody down, you feel me? That's bird lingo. You feel me? So that was a big thing for me. So within that, a big underlying thing that I never really understood went into gaining weight was working out. All right. And that's what we're here to talk about today, working out, man. And the reason why I want to talk about that and how I'm going to relate this to the story is me not knowing that had I just made my muscles stronger, had I made my muscles more explosive, you feel me? Had I still practiced the same movements, then I probably would not have went into, certain situations. I probably wouldn't have went into certain places and certain situations where people like you too small, or you feel me, like all these different situations that I battled, especially like in my athletic career, but also in life through my mental. And that's how that changed my life, man. So what we're here to talk about today is how working out changed my life, man. So, and like I said earlier, I know that y'all gonna be like, how did that change your life when that's something that you've been doing all your life? Like I said, for number one, I didn't want to gain weight. So it's not that I did take the weight room serious, but I feel like I was always smart enough, now that I'm realizing that I'm really like a dumbass for not taking it as serious or putting in the full effort of letting it maximize to what I could have become. So what do I mean by that? I would go inside of the weight room, and instead of trying to, like if I went to weight room practice with in college or in high school, I wouldn't try to throw all the weight on the bar. I wasn't like, I could throw a lot of weight on the bar, but I never did it because I always heard, if you want to stay lean, if you want to stay smaller, I made another video earlier today, man. My throat kind of messed up. Pause. Nonetheless, like I was saying, trying to gain weight or trying not to gain weight, I always heard that if you wanted to stay lean, if you wanted to stay smaller, then lift lighter and do higher reps. So I would always kind of tell, my coaches like, hey, like, like this the most I can do. You feel me? Like I would always tell them, hey, I can't get up to 225 when I'm bench pressing. I'm trying to stay at the 185 so I don't get too top heavy. I'm trying to squat, and I'm only trying to squat 300 as opposed to 400 because I'm not trying to make my legs too heavy or too big, all that kind of stuff. Because like I said, I did not want to gain weight. But to kind of take it away from that, about how it was affecting me athletically, I'm going to talk about how it affected me mentally. even though I've always been somebody, and this is something that I can, be transparent with y'all about. Even though I've always been somebody that has, strived to be the best in everything that I do, strive to be, like the next goal. Like I was always pushing towards another goal. Like I was never trying to be stagnant. Like even when I was trying to lift light, I was still trying to, okay, let me see if I can go from 12 reps to 15 reps, or 15 reps to 18 reps, or 20 reps, something like that. I was still trying to push myself, but I didn't want to push, too heavy weight, like I was saying earlier. Nonetheless, within all of that, I never really realized how that affected my mindset. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is I can honestly say it was a lot of situations where I have become complacent. It has been a lot of situations where I have become complacent, whether that was with finances. You feel me? In college, I'm getting my Pell Grant check, and then I don't feel like I need to continue to go try to make more money, whether that had been door dashing or, trying to go work for somebody, trying to do like little handyman work or whatever the case may have been. But like I said, it made me complacent. So, I'm trying not to talk in circles here, but I feel like coming into 2020, so my last year playing college football was 2022. I worked out for my pro day. I worked out, over that summer of 2023. And then, I haven't been back on the field since. Nonetheless, I was working out. I started working out April of last year. March 24th of 2024. And within all of that, I was going with a partner at first. One of my high school friends, Jayla. Real cool. And even then, like, that was my first time in a public gym, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, like, it's a little weird, but nonetheless, I'm gonna do a little something. But it wasn't until I stopped working out with her. I think she ended up leaving to go to Nashville for her to pursue her degree in dentistry. Trying to be a dentist and all that kind of stuff. And so when I had to start going in there by myself, because I had already paid for the membership, so I was like, I ain't finna let my money go to waste. I wasn't finna let my money go to waste. I had just started learning financial literacy and all these practices and stuff. This is when I was reading all my financial books. So I was like, I ain't finna let this money go to waste. So I started working out, and every time I would leave the gym, I started taking like my little progress pictures. Like I'm like, all right, bet, like let me just snap up. And at the time, y'all, let me tell y'all, at the time, I thought I was big. I was probably like 175 at the time, but I thought like looking in the mirror after you had just got a fresh pump, I ain't gonna cap, I thought I was big. And I remember this, so I started taking pictures in like early April. So then by the time May came, and then at the same time, I was still doing like NFL, CFL, UFL, like tryouts and combines and stuff. So that was another thing that I was pushing for at the time. So that, that was another motivating factor for me to, want to lift weights and stuff. But nonetheless, even outside of all of that, like I started to fall in love with me looking better, me getting bigger. You feel my arms getting bigger, my stomach all the way flattened out, my chest getting bigger. You see what I'm saying? Like, and still staying athletic at that. Like I was doing some things at the gym where people were coming up to me. They was like, I remember I was doing like these jumps on top of like the little, cause I was at Planet Fitness, and it's like the little complex machine, and you can move. I don't know what it's called, but you can move it up, and I always would have it like on the second to highest one, and I would jump on it because I never wanted to lose my jumps. I feel like my jumps was honestly like my best attribute, so I'm gonna say that outside of my speed. Within that, like I said, like I'm working out, I'm getting better, and like I said, with these progress pictures, I'm starting to see myself like shape up, like I'm putting some weight on, like my muscles sticking out, like all this kind of stuff. So I'm like, all right, bet. So by the time June, July hit, dog, when I tell you I had went going to the gym and still going to the track, I had started going to a track coach and running with him every single day, and then still going to the gym every single night. And when I tell you, man, it was like, it's y'all see it sitting on me right now. It's sitting on me right now. My shirt a little loose because I done had it on all day, but you see what I'm saying? It's sitting on me right now. But nonetheless, I'm working out, and I'm starting to, see all the results. I'm starting to see, pretty much all the fruits of my labor, man. And I just wanted to say this because like it started to change my life because it started to make me always pursue trying to get to another goal, but always trying to better myself. And this is another thing where my self-image came into play. When I started working out, it's like, I knew I was the shit. I knew I was the one. Like, hey, you can't tell me nothing, buddy. Like, I mean, not in a cocky sense, but it was just like, like when you working on yourself, and then when you have a goal, it's basically like, you start, your confidence builds as you achieve your goals. So as I was, making these goals for myself, all right, I want to go from 175 to 180, and I want to, flatten my core all the way out. When I started doing that, and it's, it's paying off from these daily deposits, I'm like, oh yeah, like you can't tell me, it ain't nothing I can't do. So the reason why this was changing my life, excuse me, I just ate, man. So the reason why this was changing my life was because this is starting now to trickle down into every other area of my life. During this time, I started saving so much money. How I told y'all, I started to get into the 5-figure range of savings. That was my first time saving this amount of money. Not making this amount of money, but this is my first time saving this amount of money. Because just like how we said the be do have thing, I was not the person to save money. I've always been the person that can go make some money, but I was never the person that could manage it. I was only used to managing $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 at a time. And that comes from past financial traumas and all this other kind of stuff, not being taught this, that, and the third. But once I started to, like I said, learn the content of these books, once I started to learn, every other area of life, not just finances, like I said, like I can't even explain it, man. It was just like my confidence shot up because I'm achieving these goals physically and knowing that these are my goals in my head and knowing that the work that I'm putting in is paying off. So then I'm like, all right, bet it wasn't like a coincidence. You feel me? Like it was okay, bet. Like now I'm making this practice with my finances. Now I'm making these practices with my mental health, with meditating, with this, that, and the third. And all of it is paying off. So when all this stuff was paying off, it was just like, okay, bet. Like I see the fruits of my labor. And like I said, this is why this was the number one, or I'm not gonna say the number one, but one of the biggest, I might say my number one. The number one thing that changed my life, because it was like when I started to pursue better for myself, when I started to pursue better for the things that I was trying to go after, it was like everything else fell into line. Everything else fell into line. My finances, like I said, my relationship with God, my relationship like with my family. Even though like I've always been a big family person, but I can honestly say like I was detached at the time. But I'm not saying like in the sense of I was always around my family, because like I said, even in the sense of me kind of going ghost from everybody else that wasn't in my family, in a sense my family wasn't seeing me because I was working my ass off. But when we would talk, when we would kind of hang out here and there and stuff like that, it was good conversations. It was good energy and stuff like that. So I just say all that to say, like, for number one, get your ass in some kind of gym. Get your ass in some kind of exercise and workout routine. That's going to play a big part in, because like I said, when you start to see yourself, and take me for an example, I was not the one that cared too much about the gym. I had never been that person. You can ask my college coaches. Bro, I've never been too much of the person who was going to go 1,000% in the weight room. And that's me being honest, that's me being transparent. But it was because of my lack of knowledge and not wanting to get big. But then when I got big last year, I got all the way up to like 195. And was still fast. I ran my fastest 40 at one of the combines that I went to ever. And I'm like, oh, bet. Like, okay, bet. I can keep doing this. So it was, like I said, it was just that whole thing where it was like, it kind of like, man, when I tell you it shifted my whole life, and that's like the only thing that I can really say, it shifted my whole life, and it's like every other part of my life became better, man. So within this video, like I said, I just say all this to say, like, man, get in the gym. Get in areas, get in places where like people gonna push you. or you gonna push yourself? Like, go with a partner at first if you need to. I didn't technically need a partner, but I'm thankful that Jayla got me into the gym. Jayla, if you're watching this video right now, I'm thankful that you got me into the gym, because it's probably something that I would not have did. I would have kept going to the football field. I would have kept going to the football field, you know, like going and running routes, you know, doing like position drills, stuff like that. But like actually getting into the weight room for the first time for myself, like, yes, I worked out my entire life with football team. But at this point in my life, I was working out for myself. I was working out to pursue a goal in the gym for myself, as opposed to, oh, let me go work out and, you know, stay lean, stay small, so I can get to the NFL, so I can get to college football, so I can, you know, become a starter cornerback or whatever the case may have been. But now at this time, I was working out for myself, man. It's nothing like working out for yourself, because everything is going to trickle off of that, man. You're going to see that your mental is sharper, man. This was not like, after that time, I fell off for a little minute because I was traveling and we had just started back with school and all this kind of stuff. But when I got back into it last year in November, and I started going every day again once I had moved to my apartment now, and I started going to the gym at my apartment every single day, man, when I tell you, it was like, dog, I caught wind and I did not look back. I caught wind and I did not look back. It was over with from there. And when I did that, man, I'm telling you, man, it changed my life, man. So I say all this to say, like, give yourself a goal. And the reason why I say make it something athletic or physical, give yourself a physical goal, because when you start to see that, you're going to start chasing those results again. You're going to start to get hungry for those results. You're going to start to be like, oh, like, I done lost this much weight. Or if you a guy, like, I done got this big, you know, something like that. So in a sense, like I said, like, man, it does so many wonders to your mental that you can't even like fathom if you're not doing it right now. Because like I said, I could not have even fathomed it, if that's the word, before I started doing it. I could not fathom how this would make me feel today, this time, you know, a little bit before this time last year. So like I said, man, get your ass in the gym, get your ass in some kind of physical activity, whether it be some kind of combat sport, you know, boxing, wrestling, kickboxing, karate, whatever the case may be. In the gym, where you chasing goals, where you chasing results, because we can all be better, bro. We can all be better. I hear so many of my friends sometimes say like, oh, I can't go to the gym, or I'm good. Okay. You don't know the life that you're missing out on until you start working on yourself. And it ain't a supplement. Bro, I got big and I wasn't even taking protein shakes. So at times in my life when I did start to get a little small, I would start taking protein shakes and I'd put the weight on. But bro, I'm just eating right. I'm high intaking carbs and protein, but no protein shakes. Before then, I used to always think the only way I'm gonna gain weight is if I drink protein shakes. When I stopped drinking protein shakes, dog, it was like, man, I'm not stopped drinking protein shakes, but when I started working out and eating the right things, eating high carbs and high protein, dog, it was like I didn't even have to take protein shakes, and that weight was still packing on. I got to the biggest I've ever been in my life, man, and still ran as fast or faster than what I've ever ran in my life, man. So I say, man, they're like, ain't no supplement, ain't no pill that you can get from the doctor that's gonna make you feel this way. Because like I said, it's a mentality shift. It's a mentality shift. You're gonna start to learn like, oh, I can really do this shit. And it ain't a supplement, no damn Ozempic, none of that that's gonna make you feel how working out makes you feel for yourself. Yeah, you may feel good when you see yourself shed a few pounds. Yeah, you may feel good when you see yourself lose a little weight. And I'm not saying nothing against nobody that uses supplements to lose weight or gain weight. But it's like when you get it out the mud, just like Lil Baby say, it feel like you different when you get it out the mud. When you get it out the mud, bro, and you know that you actually grinding for that, dog, the wonders that it does on your brain is 10 times. And the reason why I can say this is because when I used to take protein shakes and not work out as much, but I would still go take the protein shakes before I go to sleep just to make sure that I gain the weight. Okay, I still had a little bit of that complacent mindset. But as soon as I started working out last year and I started to really see the results for myself, I said, oh shit, I'm not ever stopping working out. I'm not gonna ever stop working out, dog. I'm gonna work out for the rest of my life, man. And that's exactly what it's gonna be, man. Look, I know I done went on a rant. I did not know I done went this long, man. But between story time, between me getting, like real, like, I don't even know the word, not emotional, passionate about what I was just talking about, dog. Man, we pushing 21 minutes, man. Look, it's your boy Wassup Ballers. It's the one and only Mr. Wassup. Before I stop, because don't try to log out yet. Let me know if you're going to get your ass in the gym. Let me know if you're going to start working out. Let me know how you think that is going to affect your mindset. And let me know what's your goal. You see what I'm saying, man? Hey, it's your boy Wassup Ballers, man. I ain't finna say the rest of it, man. I'm out.